Hi, everybody, and welcome to Burnout Culture. The industry sucks, and so do we. My name is Kazuma Hashimoto, and I'm joined by my two wonderful hosts. This is going on. This is a great
I'm Cullen
start.
1 and Cullen 2.
Well, ever since this week, you've transcended and become two separate people now.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog will do that for you.
Oh,
It
yeah.
sure will.
They say that part of me is just still at that concert,
Yeah, I'm
living
GC,
and learning every day.
and I've had a fantastic week. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing great out there.
Yeah. So why don't we just kick it off with some fun and joy, and talk about what you two have been doing.
All right, who wants
You
to
can
go
go first,
You wanna
GC.
go first? You want me to go first? I can go first.
Yeah, you go first.
I had a pretty good time. So remember when I said I wasn't going to go do any gambling in Vegas?
Yeah.
I lied.
Yeah, you walked away with some money.
Literally the first day he was there, he messaged us. It was like, all right, I just gambled. Was it like the night you flew in? You just
No.
immediately went and started gambling?
So I didn't fly in at night. As I mentioned last week, we recorded our podcast, or the last episode. We recorded our podcast. We hung out for maybe 2 hours, 3 hours after that, and then I got on my plane. My flight left at 6 a.m, and because of time zone differences, I made it to Las Vegas at 9:30
Okay.
in the morning. So technically, yes, I did gamble the within hours of landing, but in my defense, it was a reasonable hour and there was nothing else to do. And I doubled the money in cash that I brought with me in cash. So I think that's pretty successful, and I had a great time there. I mean, we went to a Cirque du Soleil show called Mad Apple. It's a Cirque du Soleil show about New York. So they played a lot of songs that said New York a lot. And there were some really cool performers, really cool stunts. There was a lady who was suspended in the air by her hair, which was pretty wild. She had an updo, and then they hooked a hook into her head, and then the hook went up, and she was suspended in the air by the hook, and Lady Gaga was being performed by the singers at the show. And then
that makes sense.
Yeah. And while she was doing that, other people were doing dance routines. There was a bunch of other acts in the show. It was really fantastic. At one point, a comedian came out and talked about marriage and why he thought marriage was kind of icky, and it was very heteronormative for a little bit there. But then it kind of doubled back around into the cool stunts, the cool performances, great singers, great dancers. If I had any critiques to say about Mad Apple, it was that there was too much going on. There's too much going on at any given moment, and you can't focus on the singing or the dancing or the stunts happening because they're all happening at the same time. And I guess that's a reason to see it again, but it doesn't lend itself to being very memorable because you're kind of darting your eyes back and forth trying to capture all of it at once, and then you kind of come away with it with a fragmented collection of everything that's happened. But it was really fantastic. And then we went to go see the Las Vegas Sphere show. I went into the Big Sphere. The Big Sphere.
That's spherical.
Hey, if you thought Disney World was expensive, and Cullen, you will think Disneyland is expensive. Let me tell you, the Las Vegas Sphere experience, I paid about $19 to $23. I can't remember the exact amount for a 19 fluid ounces of beer, which if you drink beer regularly, you would know that's too much money for beer. This is way too much. And then we saw a movie, a short film, 60 minutes by Darren Aronofsky about the Earth, and it was bad. It was terrible.
I heard it was really trite and uninteresting.
Well, to begin with, it opens with this sci-fi thing, and you think it's going to be a sci-fi movie, but then it starts being remember, you must remember. And then they had flashbacks to Earth, and it was Earth was our mother. She was our protector, our guardian, our everything. and we hurt her and we did bad things to her. And I thought it was going to have like a nice environmental message about like, but we can change, or but we can do something about it now. Instead, what ended up happening is that the film broke into it took a weird turn where it was like, and we had no choice. We had to leave her. And then everybody gets into rockets and they shoot off into space and they colonize the moon. And they said, and with time, in our absence, she healed. And the whole movie is basically saying, yeah, the Earth is fucked, but eventually we'll learn how to like get into space, and then the Earth will be better, and then we'll never come back to it ever again. And that's really what it's all about. And I don't know how to like explain this to people who don't get why environmentalism is a big thing. But the reason environmentalism is a big deal and climate change is a big deal is that we're going to fucking die one day because of it. Not necessarily just that, oh, we're hurting the Earth. No. We're hurting the Earth and it's killing us. See, that's the big takeaway about environmentalism. But the Las Vegas Sphere Experience, Darren Aronofsky says, no, we simply need to leave Earth on big rocket ship and go terraform other planets, and that will be our solution. We have learned nothing, and we will continue to learn nothing, etc.
Frank Herbert's Dune.
Herbert's Dune.
Sorry.
So review dismissive jerk off motion.
Yeah, it was very like that. I was like, wow, Darren Aronofsky is like literally whacking it to this right now. Like he's shedding a tear over his creation, and I don't know what else he's done, I'll be honest. But like, wow, that was a terrible first impression of Darren Aronofsky.
He actually did Black Swan, Requiem for a Dream, The Whale, The Fountain.
Well, is that guy that ripped off Perfect Blue?
Yes.
What a hack.
A lot of his work is either based off of pre-existing material. Well, so The Sphere is something that he wrote, but a lot of his work is based off of pre-existing material, like all of it.
I can see now why he adapts material or rips off other material instead of writing his own shit, because Jesus Christ.
I remember when you told us about The Sphere, I had to look and see if he was French for some reason, because he really likes adapting like French media.
The French censors were going off.
Yeah, I was like, is he French? He's not French. He could be, but he's not French. I watched The Whale like when it had come out, and I quite liked it, but you have to like, I think for Aronofsky movies, you have to be in a specific space at a specific time to be like, oh, okay, this was good, you know? Otherwise, you're just kind of like, you know? Like The Whale is... Do you know about The Whale, GC, Cullen?
It's the movie with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, that's all I know.
Yeah, it's about a university teacher who lost his partner, and as a way to cope with his grief, binge eats. It's actually written by a gay man and was performed on stage, and then he adapted it into a film. And it's really affecting and very sad. And basically, like, I watched it and I was like, oh, this is actually, like, really, like, the performances were really good. And Aronofsky does this thing where he makes things look nice, but that's kind of the extent of it. But yeah, Black Swan, I think, is, like, his most well-known film next to Requiem for a Dream, which Cullen mentioned is a rip-off of Perfect Blue. And so is Black Swan. Black Swan as well steals visuals from.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I don't know about Requiem for a Dream being rip-off.
Hang on.
I don't think that is. Well, I don't know anything about Requiem for a Dream, but Black Swan was definitely a rip-off. Well, okay, that could be slander. It is allegedly a rip-off of Perfect Blue.
No, Perfect Blue is it is exactly. I think that was when he said that he had gotten permission from Satoshi Kon to use things for Requiem for a Dream. And Satoshi Kon went out and said, I don't even know who this man is. He never asked me anything.
This makes me so upset I will now die. And then he did that. It was so sad.
Yeah.
With blood on his hands.
Damn.
Yeah. We have to... Darren Aronofsky for his
JC,
pretension.
JC's gonna have to bleep that out, and now it's gonna make it sound like we're gonna say we have to fuck Darren Aronofsky.
And he has to bleep that out too.
No,
so
he's
no one
definitely
will
gonna
know.
keep in when I say we have to fuck silly style, slowing his meat, professional style, Darren Aronofsky.
Oh my god.
It's really nice that I don't have to be the one to edit the podcast anymore. I'm really glad you're back, GC.
Yeah, Cullen was going through it.
It takes a calm hand. It takes a patient mind.
I have neither.
You know, it's rough. It's rough out here. It's rough out here when you don't know how to, when you don't know what to expect.
But it's funny that you mentioned the Sphere, because my girlfriend was telling me that her family was thinking about taking a Vegas trip this year to go to the Sphere because the Eagles were playing. I don't know anything about that band.
The Eagles? My
Yes.
dad loves the Eagles.
Hotel California.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. But
Yeah.
the point of it is they looked up the price for tickets and then immediately went, oh no, because at the very least you're looking at $500 for a ticket for this.
Yeah, for the musical
Huh?
performances, yeah. For the musical performances, it's like upwards like $500. Our tickets were like $79 or $69 for the Sphere experience or whatever.
So you're telling me that somebody paid $500 to go see U2 in the Sphere?
Most likely, yes. I really hope they just play a video of the band performing. I think that would be fucking hilarious.
Well, right now when we went, they had part of the Grateful Dead playing, but they were playing under a different name. I forget what their new band name was, but it was two of the founding members of the Grateful Dead.
Okay.
Not that I don't listen to the Grateful Dead, so I don't know any of their music, I don't think. But yeah, and then other than that, I didn't really do anything else except gamble and go eat at places and like get into embarrassing conversations with my parents in public. There was a Little Shop of Horrors gambling machine that fucked me up. I learned something. I realize now that my father, and I'm sure like a lot of other people out there, treat gambling like they were video games, but it's video games for people who never played video games. Because my dad would sit at the same slot machine and keep playing, and I would ask him, why are you playing on the same slot machine? And he said, because there's a random chance that a thing will happen, and I want to see the thing happen. And I said, oh my God, my dad is playing the slot machine for content.
He would. Your father would love Honkai Impact. He wouldn't, but you know.
Honestly, I think I would rather my dad play Honkai Impact or Honkai Star Rail or whatever than go gambling. I think I might introduce my dad to gacha games just to pull him away from wanting to go to Vegas every 4 months, because that's how often he goes.
If you get to him in the next 27 minutes as of recording this, you can get him on early. The Zenless Zone Zero release date. Apparently that is coming out like in very soon.
Ooh.
It's coming out tomorrow, yes.
What is
July
Zenless
the 4th.
Zone Zero?
It's a Hoyo's action
yeah.
game that they've been teasing for like a billion years.
Oh, it's the one that we
Yeah.
thought was really cool, and then it turned out to just be another gacha game, and we were like, oh.
Nah,
Yeah.
I'd still play it.
The combat's cool, TM, and I can't say anything more than that. But I would love to hear your impressions if you do end up playing Zenless Zone Zero.
Sounds like you did just say something.
Huh?
It sounds
What?
like you subtly did just say something.
So Sonic.
Perhaps. So
Sonic?
I drove all the way to North Carolina with a friend of mine named Wayne. He's a YouTube boy who lives near me. He's a good boy. Wayne is boss, that is. And so we drove to this place called Greensboro so that we could just go see the Sonic Symphony. And despite definitely agreeing that it is a religious experience if you are a fan of Sonic in all the ways you might expect, I feel like I really don't have a lot to say.
You just loved it.
I just loved it. Like the symphony part was very nice. I'm mad because I had to pee because I drank a lot of beverages that day. So I had to like go run to pee during the symphony part to kind of pregame the concert part. Cause like, I think the way it works out is that like 50 minutes of it are like just the symphony orchestra, like doing Sonic songs with these like perfectly timed visuals playing. It's really impressive how they're able to get videos that really line up with whatever the like orchestra's doing and like the band is doing as well. It's wild. Like this thing clearly had so much effort put into it. I knew the main thing I was there for was the concert, so I snuck out a bit early to do that, and I missed the something that I think will happen probably at all of these now, where during the Unleashed part, someone will go, "Here we," and the entire audience yells "Go," because of that's like Sonic's little thing, and each of the stages of that. And I missed it, and I'm really fucking mad. But I got there and back and stationed with merch in tow, because when I left the pisser, I saw that the merch line was very small, so I said, I grabbed a hoodie and some glow sticks for the concert. And then after that, it is an hour and a half of that is just essentially just a rock concert where everyone is standing up and they are encouraging you to scream and yell and just go crazy. And it had an infectious energy. It was unbelievable how fun it was. If you have ever liked Sonic the Hedgehog, especially the music in any way, I definitely recommend you just go, because it felt like a once in a lifetime opportunity to do that. And it's just a great time. Don't go to Greensboro though. That place sucks.
You know, if there's a Sonic concert in my area, I might actually try to see about going.
You should.
Because you having fun has me interested in going. I'm like, oh, that could be a good time. Even if I'm not the biggest Sonic fan, it sounds like a great experience.
Oh yeah, no, it is impossible to like not have just a bunch of fun. Although there was like there was a girlfriend who did not want to be there in the row behind me, who was the entire time just like, oh, this sucks. This is so lame. Who are all these Sonic fans? Like, what's the big deal with this? I don't even know what Sonic is. And like, she just kept talking, like whenever there was like downtime.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I'm not like, look at all these nerds. I only play Destiny. And I'm like, okay, you are a nerd. Shut up. Like, your irony is like really annoying. Like, I know you got dragged here, but just like, stop.
Enjoy the music, you know?
Yeah, for real. What's funny, between the like, that first time when I heard her and like the intermission, she was like, maybe we should get some like merch because this could be a bit special. I'm like, oh yeah, now it's special, huh? But I really recommend
come around on it.
But I just, oh boy, I did not like Greensboro. I think I've just accepted that North Carolina kind of sucks. Sorry if you're a listener in North Carolina. I live in a tourist town where there's always a place to go to and there's something to do. So seeing what can only deceptively be called a city like that just kind of hurt me. It's one of those places where one of the best things to do is go to the mall, and it wasn't a good mall.
Oh.
It wasn't like a bad mall. It was just Midsboro.
Oh, okay.
Just did not have fun in the actual town, and it really freaked me out. Because I was like, oh God, was this a mistake? Was this a mistake? Was this a mistake? And then the concert actually happened, and me and my buddy just had a fantastic time. I definitely fucked my voice up for screaming so loud. I recorded almost every set, and I cannot post those because it is too embarrassing, because my phone picked up my voice and you can definitely hear it. So those will stay in a folder, and a folder, and a folder, and a zip, and a folder, and a folder, and a hard drive separated from my PC, locked in a little lockbox, so no one can ever hear the cringe that emanated from my lips.
I love that for you. I love that you had fun.
I had such a good time. What were you gonna ask?
Oh, if you were also the kind of person that up until an event, you're like worried something's gonna happen and you're like stressed out that it could suck.
Oh, of course.
Okay, yeah, I'm like the same way, where I get like, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to this event, but what if it sucks? What if this was a waste of time? I could be home hanging out with my friends right now. I get that way.
Definitely anytime I travel at all for something like this, I like panic. Like anytime I have gone to like a press preview event, up until I'm actually doing the thing, my mind is going, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, this is gonna suck, this is gonna suck, oh my god, somehow it's gonna suck, my luck is terrible, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, it's gonna be terrible, oh, I'm gonna die in California, I'm gonna die in New York, someone's gonna kill me, a meteor is gonna plummet, or worst of all, it'll be a bad time and it'll be mid and I miss home, and then I actually do the thing and I go, yay, this was fun, I can't wait to come back.
Aw. Well, hopefully we'll get to see each other again at some kind of press event soon. If not, maybe SGF.
Oh, okay, I guess you just don't want to hang out with me when I'm in California next month. Okay.
No, I mean we are. We've already made plans. No, for those of you that don't know, we're going to meet up in person, and I think I'm still trying to cajole GC to be here as well.
That's going to be a bit harder.
Yeah.
Mine is a kind of a joint birthday present for me and my mom. So I am not actually paying for my travel. So, but GC would have to pay for his travel.
Yeah.
And that would
I just live in the sewers of Los Angeles. So
gross.
Yeah, I live there with all the rats.
But yeah, that was like the big event for me. It's not a great drive either. It's in the middle of bumfuck nowhere on the East Coast. The drive is like 3 hours of it is just driving through one of those like highways where it's just all trees, which is great for like maybe an hour, and then you realize, oh my god, this is so boring. And that's infinitely worse when you're driving home at night, because we did not stay at a hotel. We just shotgunned the whole thing in one day to save us a lot of money. But oh, that drive home was that, like, after jumping around and bobbing your head and screaming, to have to drive back home in the like after midnight, that was rough. But yeah, it was overall worth it.
Well, I'm glad both of you had a fantastic time. I went to an annual Yuri on Ice rewatch party with some friends, and people showed up late, and it started to turn into a House of the Dragon rewatch party.
I wonder who was responsible for that.
Actually, it wasn't me. It wasn't
Likely
me.
Story.
So people started showing up a bit late. They were like, "Hey, we're not going to be there around like the time that we said that we were," and that was like, I was like, "Okay, that's cool." But at the end, we had already planned to catch up and watch the most recent House of the Dragon episode after Yuri on Ice, because we had missed out last week. And I do like a weekly watch with some friends. And one of them was like, "I actually haven't seen House of the Dragon at all." And they put on like the show, and we got to like the first 4 episodes, and they were like, "This is actually pretty good." So I think we're just gonna have like big watch parties for House of the Dragon. I got GC to start watching House of the Dragon with me and Jake, and I'm excited. Even though GC, you said you were super tense watching it.
Oh yeah, my shoulders were all locked up because I was like, "Who's gonna die? Who's gonna get their ass kicked? Oh, what's gonna happen? Oh, that guy got his nuts chopped off in the first 10 minutes. What could they possibly do to upgrade? Oh my god!" And yeah, that was me the entire time. I was having a good time though. So
yeah, it has a great production value. I don't really care for the most recent episode. When you catch up, GC, then we can have a tiny segment about House of the Dragon next to MILF Banner. Yeah. Have you guys been playing anything recently?
Way too much.
Way too much?
Way too much. But I can talk about basically all of it.
Oh, you can actually talk about it now. Okay.
Yeah, I got a couple launch day codes, so.
Okay, cool. Cullen's been a busy boy.
Yes. So I think the main things I've been playing are, let's see, I got 2 games for Nintendo Insider. I guess 3. I did a review of Luigi's Mansion 2. I'll get that out of the way first, because I literally don't have anything more than a sentence to say about it, which is,
okay,
it is good. Why is it $60?
Oh, it's $60.
Yeah, it's like, if you've never played Luigi's Mansion 2 before, it's worth it. It's a fun game, but if you played it on 3DS, I'd say maybe wait for a sale if that ever happens. Like, it's not bad, and it's actually a really good remaster, but yeah, I'm just kind of like, oh, I had fun.
Okay.
It is Luigi's Mansion 2. It does not break any new ground. It just kind of is a fun game. But outside of that, I have been playing Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition and the Tsukihime remake, which I don't even know which one to begin with, because I don't know if either of you have heard of or played either of those games.
I know of Tsukihime, and Beyond Good and Evil is like a classic TM for those little babies watching, or what? How could they watch? They're only listening. For those little babies listening to the podcast, why don't you start with Beyond Good and Evil?
Okay, so I have not played like a bunch of this, but I have gotten far enough to really get into like the swing of things.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, what if you took a 2000s platformer and then made it an adventure game? It's very interesting. Like, one of the main gimmicks has to do with photography. So the way you make money in this like world, because yeah, it is a world of sorts. You live in a little like, I don't know if you get to end up exploring the whole planet or just this one part of it, but you have this map you can just explore, and you can go off the beaten path and find like little towns or buildings. But you play as this woman named Jade. You got the usual stuff with, it's like, oh, governments are evil, capitalism critique, various things sprinkled all throughout that you'd really only find in like an old school Ubisoft game. But it's not a platformer in like a traditional sense. Like, you don't have like a jump button or anything, but you're in these like really massive maps like you'd find in like a Jack and Daxter of sorts. You have like a little staff to like do a very simple combat system. But I think what is so interesting about this is it's a lot of like attention put into world building that I think is neat. There's a lot of small little things you can find by just going off the beaten path. They never tell you about any of it. There's a lot of lore documents and like audio tapes to find. There are so many creatures throughout the game, and every time you take a photo, you kind of submit it and then make money off of it. And that's how you kind of get the funds you need to expand either like your little boat, or you can buy upgrades. As of now, it seems like a very like traditional, like, oh, we're Jade, we want you to join the revolution. We're going to fight against the government because the government is actually using this war as a smokescreen to do experiments on the people. And it's simple, but it works. You got a little pig guy who runs around with you, and you can like tell him to do stuff. So you have like an action button, but you have an action button for your friend as well. And you tell the friend to just like, hey, go stand on this and I'll go forward, and then I can like loop back around and get you. And a lot of like the puzzles revolve around that. I think I know why this game was kind of more of a cult classic than a big hit. And it's that it doesn't really have a specific genre. It's kind of a mishmash of all these different kinds of genres, but I really like that. It's very interesting game with a lot of novelty to it. And the remaster is really good. I've been playing on Switch. It is just very well put together, runs at 30 FPS, very crisp resolution. I don't know if it's native or not, but yeah, it's like $20 for this remaster. It's been great so far. I don't have too much to say about it because a lot of my time has been put towards Tsukihime, which is a shame because that is a very difficult game to talk about. You can't really say it. I mean, it is, but that doesn't tell people what the game is about. But saying too much spoils a lot of like the neat things that does very early on.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, Kazuma, what have you heard about Tsukihime? Do you know?
I know everything about Tsukihime. I liked Type Moon. Yeah. I was really into Type Moon stuff for like 4 years. So, okay. And that included Tsukihime because there are like nods to, fate and everything in it. So, yeah. I like Tsukihime. I'm happy that it's coming out and that people have a chance to experience it because it was not available in English before, was it?
No, this is the first time it has ever been localized. And the version we're getting is the fancy remake that was like 15 years in the making.
Whoa, okay.
The remake adapts I think it's only the Arswade or Arc. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Arc. I'll just say Arc. The Arc and Seal roots.
Okay.
Of the game. And the rest of it will come in another remake. And you might think, oh no, they're splitting the content up. But they have massively expanded all of this from what I hear. CL now has a completely unique route instead of just kind of sharing the story beats of arcs. I think in total to read everything in this, you're looking at about like 45 hours. So it's very meaty, but essentially the pitch for Tsukihime is that because I think this was Nasu, the Fate guy. I think this was his first work.
I believe so, yes.
And so if you've ever seen anything Fate related, it is that same kind of like urban fantasy where just deep below like normal society is all this like wacky like magic stuff going on. And in this one is the big thing here is vampires. Like vampires are real, and there is a vampire serial killer going around. And your protagonist is a boy who got into an accident as a child, that it was a near-death experience that messed with his eyes forever, where he is able to see like lines on everything. And those lines are like the lines of death. So if he like were to look at a table, he could see a bunch of lines on it. If he were to trace that line with like a plastic knife or like a pencil or something, it would snap that table in half.
Mm-hmm.
And people have these as well. So that's kind of like his whole deal. And I'm talking around a lot here. He kind of gets into a bit of a situation with a vampire and it kind of depowers her, for lack of a better term. So he's kind of forced to be thrown into this whole vampire thing. Just know it is a lot more interesting than I am describing it. This is more or less as close as we'd ever get to a AAA visual novel. There is a lot of unique art in this. All of the backgrounds look amazing. There's a lot of motion to this, like to all the images. It is a very seamless experience, and you can really tell that this was funded by Fate Go money.
Oh yes, yeah. The production value for this is high.
I'd recommend you give it a shot, Kazuma, if you ever get a time, especially if you've already like played the original. There's a lot of neat stuff here.
Okay. Yeah, I might definitely check it out. I am quite interested in it because like this is the first official like English localization. And I don't know, I like reading. Now that I have a steady paying job, yay, I've been spending a lot of time rereading books. So I'm excited to do more reading.
This has really won me over on Nasu's writing style.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to describe how his descriptions of the environment just flow together. It's very detailed, but it never gets bogged down. You read something like this and you just know immediately that it's like the person who's writing this has such a unique perspective on how he sees the world. And like the details he chooses to like really focus on you just go, oh, that's interesting. Oh, he described it like this. And the translation is great as well. I'm never having a moment where I'm like, oh, this is really stilted. Why are people talking like this? Everything just flows great. Glowing recommendation so far. Just go in knowing this is a very bloody, gory, fucked up game. Very, 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 very gory. If you're fine with like dark, like really fucked up fiction, then you should have no problem. And I know later in the year, we're also getting Fate Stay Night localized for the first time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm not sure if I'll like it as much as Tsukihime, because there's this like, Tsukihime has a vibe that really just gets me a lot more than what I've played of Fate. But I'm a lot more open-minded now to try Fate Stay Night after Tsukihime. I think I'm about halfway through my first route of this, so I will probably update more on our next podcast, but I literally cannot put this down. It's just fantastic. It's one of those things where it's like, if any of that interests you, look up absolutely nothing about it and just go in, because it is super worth it.
See, when it comes to Fate, I think you might have liked the original concept of like Fate over what it became. You know that Nesso wanted a female protagonist, right? But they wouldn't let him do it.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, so it was actually supposed to be about like a young witch that's from like a really like basically Rin, from a character like Rin from Fate. Except she was like a meek little witch who came from a long lineage of mages, and she summons King Arthur and everything. I'll send you, it's called a Fate, like Fate Prototype or something, or Prototype Fate.
Mm.
Is like a small like 5-minute animated short about what his original like idea for Fate was, and it's way more interesting than what we got, in my opinion.
That is interesting, because that kind of gives me the same vibes of Witch on the Holy Night, also known as Mihoyo in Japan, which is another story in that massive universe, and also a prequel to Tsukihime, where the main character is like one of the last remaining witches.
Okay.
Like you're mostly like, she kind of splits protagonist duties, but she is the lead more than like anyone else in that game. And it's that I didn't finish that one, but it's also very compelling. And after I'm done with Tsukihime, I'm going to go back to that because that got a fan translation like 2022, I think.
Wow,
I remember,
okay.
I remember downloading that on my Switch. I believe when we did that One Piece event, like in my hotel, I just had it set to download that like the entire time.
Oh my god. Shout out to the One Piece event. I'll never forget you. They're having
No,
tours on that ship right now, and I was like, I met Cullen on that ship.
I met Luffy on that ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm becoming fate pilled. I'm becoming a big Nasu head. I kind of want to re-download that Fate Samurai Remnant game and give that another go because that game ruled.
I played a lot more of it than
What'd you think of it?
think.
You did, I think.
I really like it. It continued to keep my attention. The only reason I stopped playing it is because other games distracted me, but I too want to go back to it. I think I might play it in bed on my Steam Deck since it runs very well on Steam Deck.
I think they've optimized that a lot because for a while it struggled to hit like 40 FPS or something, but I think now it probably runs a lot better.
Yeah.
I should also download that on my Steam Deck.
Conceptually, Fate is really cool, like in terms of like the general setup for it.
Oh yeah, urban fantasy rules. I'm surprised we don't have more of that.
I just love the idea of summoning historical figures through artifacts. My favorite one is Vlad. Do you know what they did with Vlad the Impaler?
Sounds familiar.
So with Vlad the Impaler, because his myth is so tied up in like Dracula, that when they end up summoning him, he's a vampire, and he's like, "Why the fuck am I a vampire?" And they're like, "Oh, it's because everybody thought you drank blood and stuff." And he's like, "This is so factually incorrect. What the fuck?" So I think that's really cool. Like those little like bits of how we interpret historical figures coming in through the way that they're then represented when they're summoned. Also, Leonardo da Vinci is cool in Fate. Transgener Leonardo da Vinci. So Leonardo da Vinci in Fate is basically like the theory that Da Vinci is actually like the woman, Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was like pretty interesting. Yeah. GC, what have you been playing?
Boy, howdy. Let me tell you. Did I talk about Assassin's Creed Origins last time?
No. Oh boy, here we go. I rub my little hands together.
I'm going to be kind of a hater for Assassin's Creed Origins because, wow, what a game that drags you with like just kind of okay stuff and like teases that it's going to stick the landing at the very least, and then it doesn't, and then it completely falters. Assassin's Creed Origins is such a missed opportunity. You know what? I'm just going to pull up my goddamn tweets that I made about it. I'm just going to read them because otherwise I'm not going to fucking... Where is it? I can just pull them up. It's fine. It's fine. Ugh. Editor GC. Edit this out.
Editor GC, keep it in.
Editor GC.
Yeah.
Don't listen to Cullen. He's a bad influence.
A little bit.
Yeah. So, okay. So character relationships are poorly developed. Villains are poorly developed. Motivations are poorly developed. Aya should have been more prominent in the game. The loot system in Assassin's Creed Origins is bloated. You get way too many items, way too many drops, and they don't fucking matter. And like every weapon you... Like in previous Assassin's Creed games, you would get weapons and you would either buy new weapons and they would have like different stats than other weapons you would get. And then you would upgrade those weapons, but you would only upgrade them like incrementally. Just like if it was a weapon that you used a lot and you really liked it, you would just upgrade it to give it like that extra oomph. And you wouldn't have enemies dropping weapons every 2 seconds. In Assassin's Creed Origins, enemies drop weapons every 2 seconds. And at some point, you stop caring because you run into a good weapon or a good shield or something that is going to do better for you than any of the weapons that the guards drop. The guards that you're killing, that is. And then at some point, this loot system becomes so overbearing and so annoying to navigate through because you have to dismantle or sell those weapons in order to make money or get crafting elements. It's not the only way to do it, but it's one of the easiest ways to do it. So you're navigating menus for a really long time in an Assassin's Creed game of all things. A game that is designed, by design, is about free running and going from one point to the next, checking them off your list, and just doing things there, which is what the game excels at. But then the game does like a bunch of stuff that like penalizes you. So your Assassin's Blade in Assassin's Creed, right? Cullen, Kazuma, when you play Assassin's Creed, what do you want to do?
Kill
Assassinate.
innocents.
Oh my, Cullen, not kill innocents.
Sorry.
But you want to do it, and you want to do it like, you ideally, you want to do it stealthily. You want to be like, yeah, I'm going to sneak up to this guy. I'm going to stab him in the fucking neck, and then I'm going to leave his body. And then I'm going to move on to the next guy. Like, you want to be an assassin, a stealthy killer. The problem in Origins is that your Assassin's Blade doesn't kill enemies instantly. It has a damage threshold that if an enemy is high enough level, can completely circumvent it, and instead of killing them instantly, you only do like some damage, and then open combat activates. So what ends up happening is that Assassin's Creed, the stealth game about killing people instantly, starts forcing combat on you, and the combat itself in Assassin's Creed Origin just isn't as interesting as previous entries. In previous Assassin's Creed games, they kind of found like a really nice flow with the brawler combat from Arkham Asylum. Like, that's what it is. It's it's the combat from Arkham Asylum. The enemies attack you, a little icon appears over their head when they're going to attack you, or over your head when they're going to attack you, and you can hit a counter button to counter them, and then you can start beating on them, and then you counter, or you guard, or you dodge, and some enemies you need to break their guard before you can hit them, and not doing that ruins your combo. And that's like really, it's not the deepest, but it is interesting. It is engaging because, players who are not very good at the game just want to get through the combat without dying, right? But players who are very good at the game are more concerned with their combo, and the combo meter becomes the challenge. The combo meter becomes the thing that they attach themselves to. It's like, I want to hit 99 combos in a fight. I don't want the combo to drop. I want to keep going. And like Assassin's Creed Syndicate started to reward players for that. For like, when you had a high combo counter, you would do more damage, or they would have abilities where getting hit wouldn't kill the combo counter. Little things like that to incentivize players playing well. The combat in Assassin's Creed Origins, number one, there's no counter. There's no counter in Assassin's Creed Origins.
Just a dodge, right?
It's a dodge. It's
Dark
a dodge,
Souls.
And it's not a very good dodge. And I'll
Not even like a perfect dodge?
No, there's no perfect dodge. They added a perfect dodge ability, like a bonus to perfect dodges, where if you dodge at the right time, you generate like adrenaline or you get like an attack damage boost. But that's only if you buy the DLC, which I did not until after I beat the base game of Origins. So I didn't have access to that ability at all to unlock it or whatever. So you have a dodge. The dodge is bad. Another thing enemies do that's really annoying is that if an enemy is in an animation, you cannot cancel that enemy out of an animation by hitting it. This is very specific and this is very important because in Assassin's Creed, in previous Assassin's Creeds, if you hit an enemy as they're winding up for an attack, you cancel them out of that attack and you beat them to death. Okay? And the reason that's cool is because if your timing is good enough and you understand the game mechanics well enough, you don't have to constantly counter enemies. You don't have to constantly dodge enemies. You know, hey, I'm faster than that guy. I'm going to hit him first. And you can do that. And the challenge would be that you would be fighting multiple guys and they would attack you all at once. And that was the real challenge of like countering this guy, hitting this guy, dodging this guy, and like timing those things correctly. Assassin's Creed Origin, the animations, they're locked into those animations. So even though I totally hit that guy in the middle of his swing, his attack is still going to come down on me and hurt me. So I'm being punished for stealthing, right? I'm being punished when my Assassin's Blade doesn't kill enemies outright because it forces open combat. And then I'm punished in open combat for being a fast attacker because enemy animations are locked. Like I can't cancel them out of them. So the combat itself becomes really boring, where you're constantly waiting for an enemy to attack first so that you don't end up in that situation. Or you're constantly doing the same stupid move of I'm going to dodge and then swing and then dodge and then swing and then dodge and then swing. And I'm pushing the same buttons over and over again. And it makes it completely boring. It is the most uninteresting the combat has ever been. And that sucks because Assassin's Creed combat was like fun to do at the very least, by virtue of just being Arkham Asylum combat, which is good. I love that combat system. I don't know why they changed it. I guess to be more like Dark Souls, but the game isn't enough like Dark Souls because it's still very clearly Assassin's Creed. They just ripped out mechanics and they didn't implement them. And I don't know why.
Was Origins the first RPG one?
No,
Yes.
that was Syndicate.
Wait, what?
No. It was Origins. Origins is the level up. You have to level up to make sure you're like appropriate level for enemies and stuff. It's like the first RPG, like the first true quote unquote
Yeah.
RPG one.
Okay, yeah. Then yeah. But like, you know, Syndicate had RPG elements in it, and Syndicate didn't do the Assassin's Blade not doing enough damage. Like I have to upgrade my Assassin's Blade in order to kill people instantly. It's a stab in the neck. What do you mean? Like you should be rewarding me for good stealth. You should be rewarding me for sneaking past all these enemies to get to my target. Like there should be no like it's an actual penalty to play stealth in that game if you're not like a high enough level. And that sucks because I feel like I'm being forced to come back later, and I don't want to come back later. I want to do the content now. It's Assassin's Creed, for God's sakes. Like there's 200 points on the map. I don't want to come back to number 156 just because my Assassin's Blade doesn't do enough damage and I got to go do 40 more locations before I can remember, oh yeah, that's right. I got to go back to 156 to go do this thing that I didn't do before. That's annoying. That's super annoying.
This was the first video game I ever reviewed, by the way.
I'm sorry. That set a horrible precedent for everything afterwards.
What was extra funny is being in call with you when you were beating the game, and just I was looking at something else, so I could not watch your game, and just hearing you go, huh? What? What? Why would you do that? Huh? And I still have no idea what the context behind any of that is, but it sounds like it did not land in any way at all.
Story's bad. Story's really bad.
It is on the level of like Superman telling you that the S on his chest stands for hope. You know, it is on the level of like, oh, for instance, like without spoiling too much, I guess, or maybe there is spoilers for Assassin's Creed Origins. How did they come up with the logo for Assassin's Creed? How did they come up with the insignia for the assassins? And it's like, oh, Bayek puts down the little bird skull that his son has always carried in his pocket, and he puts it on the beach, and he walks away, and Aya picks it up, and underneath the imprint that the skull left is the Assassin's Creed insignia, which is stupid because we all know that the fucking insignia can be either the hidden blade or the hood for the assassins.
Wasn't it even like part of their tenet or something?
It was, yeah, like it's already in canon. Like the assumption is just like it is symbolic of the appearance of the assassin, or like the concept of the assassin. Like it's not, oh, she saw the imprint on the sand and that was when she knew that's the symbol she would use for whatever. And then like we play through all these Assassin's Creed games. Another spoiler. We play through all these Assassin's Creed games, right? They talk about the Father of Understanding. Like the Templars are like, may the Father of Understanding guide us. And they tell you that Caesar is the Father of Understanding, not in a cutscene where he deems himself so. Not in a cutscene where like the Templars are like, you know, ooh, the Father of Understanding, may he guide us, and like whatever, and like establishing like that. A character says it during a boss fight as part of like the secondary dialogue that's playing while you're doing the boss fight. So you're doing the boss fight and the characters are shouting at each other, and one of the characters just goes, Caesar is the Father of Understanding. And it's just like, oh, okay. All right, suddenly that's a thing. Okay, I guess that's the origin of that. And it felt like they were trying to, because they called it Assassin's Creed Origins, they were trying to fit as many like origin pieces as they could. So they try to shoehorn a bunch of stuff into this game to explain the origins of the assassins and the Templars, and it doesn't make any sense, or it's really undercooked and really underwhelming. And it feels like between the combat system that's had mechanics ripped out, between this RPG system that also feels really like half-assed, between like the story beats that aren't there, like they don't exist. Like, sure, Bayek and Aya are fighting these people who apparently killed their son, but there's no rhyme or reason to it. Like, at no point is there like a through line where I know exactly why I'm doing this and what I'm doing. There's no intrigue that builds up over time of like, well, who are they working for and what exactly does the order want and what is their goal and like, you know, this and that or whatever. Suddenly Bayek and Aya have a falling out at the very end of the game, even though every time we meet them, every time they come together, they have sex, which is something the story wants you to know. They want you to know that they are fucking every chance they get. And then suddenly it's like, maybe we should just call this whole thing off. And it's like, what? Why? There was so much chemistry here.
This time it wasn't that good.
Yeah, like it had to have been like, was the sex must have been terrible. Like there's no like build up to any of the story beats that occur. They just happen for the sake of happening so that there can be, I guess, drama, but it's all delivered so dry and so like not emotionless, but superficially that you don't feel anything. You don't feel anything when it happens. You're just kind of like, oh, okay, it happened, I guess. And then, I don't know. There's no good world building for the modern era storyline, which I'm a guilty pleasure. I like. Like, there's not even an interesting, like, precursor race element to it, except for, like, these collectibles you can find, and you have to activate by collecting another collectible, which is extra annoying. But yeah, wow, just like the biggest letdown I've experienced. I bought the DLC thinking maybe the DLC will be better, since a lot of times Assassin's Creed DLC can be really good. And the DLC turns out, apparently, from what I've already played, it really feels like it's just more stuff to do and not really like focused on telling a story. And that's really like the worst part, is that like the Assassin's Creed games were always really good at telling stories. Even Assassin's Creed Rogue, which I don't very much like, told a story. And Assassin's Creed Origins didn't seem concerned with that at all. At all. What a fucking letdown, man.
Well, it can only go up from here. I didn't like Odyssey either. That's the next one on the docket, by the way.
You know, GC, you don't have to play these bad Assassin's Creed games. You don't have to.
See, the thing is that I don't know if they're bad or not. Like I play them because I want to find out if I like them or not. But like I genuinely thought Assassin's Creed Origins was going to end strong. Like I figured, okay, so a lot of this feels incomplete. I don't know how else to put it. It feels unfinished, but maybe the ending will be really strong. Like maybe they started with the ending first, or they had a really good idea for the ending, and it just doesn't work out that way. It doesn't pan out. At some point you can see the money run out and the time run out, and like I can feel people that worked on this game scrambling to like put it together, because at some point the game discards all notion of it being an open world. And it's like, you know, if you go with Aya now for the next 6 fucking hours, there won't be any open world elements, and you'll be on a railroad to the end. And it's like, why? Suddenly we're doing this, and to be honest, had the rest of the game just been like that, I might have actually preferred it that way. I don't know, but yeah.
They only recently got out of that whole RPG phase, right?
No, they're still in it.
No, I thought Mirage was like a traditional Assassin's Creed game again.
Mirage is considered like a side project. It's not like a main line.
Well, is Shadows going to be an RPG?
Who knows? I can't say.
See, if any of us had watched the gameplay, I'm sure we would have had an answer. But instead, you have to be NDA coy. So now we have an unsatisfactory conversation on the podcast. Good job, Kazuma. You know too much.
I'm sorry. It's not that I know. Much. Yeah, the eldritch knowledge just pouring out of my ears. I mean, we know that we're going to be able to swap characters, right? I think it's going to go back to being like Syndicate, which would be really cool. Which means that I am unfortunately going to be barreling headfirst into everything and wondering why I am getting caught all the time. And that's because I'm never stealthy. Did I tell you how I played like the first Assassin's Creed game I ever played, GC, and that was Brotherhood?
Oh.
I left my Xbox on for 2 days to passively grind up my Brotherhood, and then I started playing.
That's kind of funny.
So I would whistle. Yeah, I would whistle, my assassins would come in and kill everybody, and I would just go and kill the target, and that's how I went from mission to mission to mission.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I miss doing that. I miss having that kind of gameplay mechanic in an Assassin's Creed game.
Where you can just summon your friends?
Yeah, I miss it. Anyway, other than that, I've been playing more Dragon Age Origins. What a great game.
That game's so good. Holy shit.
What a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Can't believe I've only now just started like customizing. I've been using a guide to customize the AI of my party members since I'm really bad with that. So I've been using a guide to like plan out their tactics and stuff like that. And it's really crazy how much easier that game is when you program the AI to actually do stuff.
It's good. It's a really good RPG.
It's excellent. I cannot wait to keep playing it. I've been streaming it on and off because I have nothing else to stream right now.
Oh shit, I gotta watch your VODs.
Oh, I gotta upload my VODs. I gotta publish my VODs. But yeah, like, great game. Love all the characters in it. Love the combat in it. Love the gameplay loop of talking to people and doing stuff and running into random encounters here and there. My tank build is pretty much done, and we are cruising to finish that game soon so I can move on to Dragon Age 2. And that's me. That's been me. Oh, and the Elden Ring DLC. It's good.
Yeah, you're good at Elden Ring. You're really good at Elden Ring. So.
I'm okay. I'm all right. I beat Mesmer yesterday. Oh, and I beat the Mad Flame guy.
Average GC humble brag. I'm just okay.
I beat him on the first try.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr.
I'm not that
Mr.
good
Big
at the
Flame.
game. I just beat people on the first try. GC.
No, that one I'm proud of. That one I'll brag about. I was like, hey, I did it.
Oh, I guess I'm pretty amazing. Oh.
And then I help some people fight the bosses because that's what I like doing. I like beating bosses, and then I like getting summoned into people's games to help them fight bosses. Just to confirm that it's not a fluke.
I have also been playing Dragon Age and really liking it. I started playing Origins on stream. I let my community vote, and they voted that I would be a Dwarven Commoner, and I forgot how fucked that origin was. But I like it. I like everything I've encountered thus far. I forgot that backstabbing actually does things in that game. So, yeah, I was like, why am I not doing a lot of damage on my rogue? I actually need to position myself behind an enemy. I just got to Ostagar, but I actually convinced Jake to start playing it too, and he started as a human noble, and I don't want to say anything because he doesn't know anything about Dragon Age Origins. He's only ever played 2.
Oh, okay, cool. Backstabbing is really important. That's why when you see the red ring around enemies, there's like that black part on the red ring. Mm-hmm. That's the backstab window.
I didn't know they had a backshot window. That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm always taking it. Anyways.
Oh, I was going to say, I also started playing Origins. Did not get far. It plays very weird. I'll have to adjust to it. But also, it did not help that I picked the... Oh, God, what is it? It's like the...
City Elf?
It is an elf, because isn't it you can pick your race, and then you can pick it like exactly like a kind of background?
Yeah, I think you picked City Elf.
I think I did pick City Elf. Yeah, that sounds familiar. And that gets into some uncomfortable territory pretty fast.
yeah,
And you're like,
it does.
it's like, I did it on a total whim. I did not seek it out. I did not get that recommended. No one said, Cullen, play this and look up nothing about it. I just went, okay, let me actually, because typically I always just pick like a human. So I was like, oh, let me be an elf. And city elf makes me a bit scrappy, huh? Like, yeah, it's like, that sounds like really fun. And I start playing. I'm like, oh, that's not fun. Oh, no.
Nope.
Turns out I picked the most fucked up intro.
Play it on easy, by the way.
No one told me that.
Don't play it on normal. I mean, you don't play it on normal.
Yeah, you probably won't have a good time on normal. It's really, that game's hard. That game's like really hard.
Well, actually, if you treat it like a tactics game, you might like it, Cullen.
I might just continue playing too, because that's an action game and you turn your brain off and you hit your buttons and you go, hoo, hoo, hoo.
Big sword, because you picked Warrior Hawk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Hawk. He's neat.
I like Hawk too. Everybody likes Hawk, at least as far as I know. I don't know a single person that doesn't like Hawk, even though Hawk is more predefined than the Warden or the Inquisitor.
I like that. I like that he's a character. It's great. He just talks on his own sometimes.
Yeah, he's just, saying words.
It's wild how in only 2 years they made that game look so much better than Origins. Like, it graphically, it's a pretty big step up. And it's great to look at. Not to say Origins is like bad. I will get to it. I'll try to at least. Dragon Age 2, just like I started like, it's wild. I was playing Origins. I was like, oh, I'm not having fun. And then I booted up 2 and I was like, grummy little town. I like it. Yay.
Yay. That's your home now, Cullen. You live there.
I love that place. I love Kirkwall. I shouldn't, but I do.
And Kirkwall loves you.
That's probably not for the best.
Yeah. I've also been playing Dark and Darker. I played that with GC and Davon and Jake and Co, some other friends of ours. I'm talking about GC as though he's not in the call with us.
Shout out to Co.
Sometimes I can still hear him.
Yeah. That's a lot of fun. I actually quite like that game, like playing a bard and just playing instruments as GC's getting sick headshots and Davon is killing us on accident.
I don't know how I keep landing those fucking headshots. I keep getting lucky. Sometimes I let go of an arrow and it flies past your face and I go, oh no, I hit him in the fucking head. And then it shows up on a goblin and I'm like, whoo, dodge that one.
Yeah, I quite like it. So for those who don't know what Dark and Darker is, it's an extraction shooter, but it has like fantasy RPG classes and races. I'm an elven bard, which means I have like no strength, but I'm really fast and I'm playing an instrument. You play a ranger, right, GC?
Yes, I do. Scary from the front and from far away.
Yes.
You know what?
That's a lot of fun.
I didn't download it out of like a weird friend spite. Like the kind of like loving friend spite where I'm like, no, I will not watch House of the Dragon with you, Kazuma. I will never do that. To only really appease myself and no one else. And it just kind of makes me seem like a mean individual. But I have just started downloading Dark and Darker.
Oh my God, finally. See, Cullen, I'm always going to want to like do stuff with you because I'm that kind of friend where I'm like, I like the thing and I want to introduce it to my friends. And even if you never get around to it, just know that if you ever want to do anything ever, I'm always there, happy to share things with you that I enjoy. GC already gets bombarded with it. Yeah.
Well, I'm a good friend and I want to hang out with you, Kaz.
Wow.
Can you take off your headphones for just a quick second?
All right. Taking them off.
Davon, if you're listening, it was for you, bud. Shout out to you, Davon. It wasn't for these bozos, I'll tell you that much. All right? Keep it real. All right, you can put your headphones back on, Kazuma.
Can I put my headphones back on?
Yeah, you can, for sure.
You know now.
I can't hear you guys. Someone has to type.
Just put them back on.
He can't hear us.
I think this is great. Leave this in. Hold on. Put them back on!
Okay, thank you. Okay. I'll never know what that is because I always listen to our podcast like a week after the episodes come out.
That's okay. I'll look forward to a week from now, just a message that just says fucker.
Okay, cool. What else? I've been playing, before I get to Dawn Trail, I'll talk about the First Descendant, which is a extraction hero. No, it's a looter shooter with specific characters you can select. It's quite interesting, actually. I am really liking it. It has faster, more frenetic movement than Destiny, not quite to the level of Warframe, but I can be a hot guy, and that makes me enjoy the game, even if it is kind of a little janky at times, and the localization is not great.
Rip.
Yeah, it's fine. I can see myself playing it, or I could see myself playing it a lot more if the localization and voice acting were a lot better. Because I actually interviewed the director of the studio. He actually worked on like the first MMO I ever played, and I told him that, and he took a picture with me and he put it on his LinkedIn. That was cool. And this is like their first attempt at making something that isn't either just like a. He worked on Lineage 2 GC.
Oh.
Yeah, he was a level designer for Lineage 2, and then he went to work on Blade and Soul. And now he's doing like a shooter, which is weird, but interesting. Who knows how that'll go further down the line. It apparently has like loads of people playing it right now on Steam. Like, it shot up to the top of the Steam charts or whatever. But other than that, I've been playing Dawn Trail, and I'm not going to really talk a lot about that because Cullen wants to get through it at some point.
Sorry, everybody. I'm ruining the podcast.
Oh, no, it's fine. I mean, shout out to Sonia. I haven't seen what Yoshi P has said about anything this week, so no reports on anything weird.
I just know that we had like some people in our audience, like a select couple of like freak ass haters that were just like, yes, Kazuma hates, and I'm putting my foot down on that because I don't want to know anything.
Yeah, I'll just be like really brief. Like,
for sure,
I think the expansion is very boring. The story is very boring. At times, there are some issues in which the framing of very specific indigenous people are like evil, right? Which I think kind of sucks. Specifically regarding like one character, it's just kind of like, all right, whatever, I guess. The new character Wuklamat. I hope we never see her again. She is a complete waste of time. I feel very bad because, like, you can tell that the team is doing their best to try to make this character interesting. No dice. Absolutely boring.
Is that
completely
the furry?
Devolves. Yeah.
Oh, then they don't need to make her interesting because people will just be horny.
She's just so boring though. Like, it's so one-dimensional and flat. Like, the characters are complete cardboard cutouts this expansion. Not that the writing was particularly fantastic or great in previous expansions by like my standards, but it's really atrocious now. It's slop, and it's not even like fun Stranger of Paradise slop. It's just kind of meh. The final fight for the expansion was really, really fun up until the last 10% of it. And people that have played Dawn Trail and understand what I'm suggesting right now will totally get why it stops being fun. There's a really cool baby, and I love the baby, and that is my son now. Other than that, if I wasn't getting paid to review this, I probably wouldn't play this expansion, but I did get a house, and I'm decorating my house.
Ooh.
And my character looks cute. Yeah.
One of the reasons why I don't want you to like just go crazy and just like say like everything that's wrong with it is I had a friend reach out to me.
Yeah.
Who said, "Hey, you're probably not going to like Dawn Trail." And I was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And they were like, "Oh, they did Stormblood again." And I was like, "Ah."
Yes.
Which separated from any of the colonialism stuff, which I'm sure is there. I would definitely believe you on that, Kazuma. What that really told to me is this will be boring.
Yeah, it's boring. It's very boring. Like, that's kind of its cardinal sin.
When I do play it, because I want to at some point, I'm going to go into it with an open mind and low expectations and just see what happens. Because even if that's me wandering around being impressed with visuals or whatever, just I'd like to give it a shot, just see what I think. But the problem is that the only way to do that is to get through those Endwalker patches. And those Endwalker patches are fucking boring.
And it continues that way through Dawn Trail.
And I heard that those are the writers they got for Dawn Trail. And like,
yes.
And that's the thing I felt in those patches is like, okay, wait, it feels like the writers changed because everything's wrong. And apparently that's just what they got. So I've heard that the game's doing all right.
It's doing fine.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that. I don't know if they would release numbers for this.
They should, in my opinion, because they sort of need that win, in my opinion, after the sort of like middling to poor sales of like 16 and 7 Rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they release the numbers outside of like, these are how many registered users we have, because you can play the free trial, you know, and that's technically a registered user.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be a really good win for them. I will say, Cullen, the visuals are great. The new locations are super pretty. That's like some of the best part of the expansion. Up until the final area, which is not pretty.
Okay.
It's ugly. It stinks. But just enjoy walking around the world. GC, if this didn't require like a huge time investment from you, I would love to see what you think about Final Fantasy XIV. Not because our opinions like align, but because I would like to see your perspective on some of the story beats that happen throughout and how they go on to repeat a lot of them in Dawn Trail, but worse.
Well, if I resub to 14, I would be playing through Stormblood.
I will take you through it. I will literally go through that entire expansion with you.
I am currently looking at it on Steam, and I'm like, well, what if I just did the patches? I hate to say it, the FOMO has been getting to me a little bit. I'm trying to be strong, but I'm like,
I'll be honest. What's preventing me from finding out for myself about Dawn Trail and stuff like that is that I have to relearn how to play Monk for the 5th fucking time.
Don't worry. Yeah, you literally have to relearn it again, or you could play. You could play any of the new classes. Viper's fine. It has stance dancing, kind of like old Monk used to.
Viper's the dual wield sword class, right?
Yes, it is the one that is inspired by Zidane.
That's the one I want to play.
You both play Viper. I'll just be your pocket white mage.
I
can also tank.
It's wild seeing like, because I was fine, like super fine, just being like, oh, I'll just skip it. My brain is so fucking broken. I saw on all reviews it says mixed, and then I go, oh, I'm intrigued.
It's because of the story. It's really because of the story. I think people are kind of wising up that maybe not everything this team makes is gold, right? I think, Cullen, if you go into Dawn Trail treating it like a extremely basic shonen manga, you will like it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Just treat it like that.
Well, see, here's the thing is that's probably all I was going to treat it as, because since the moment they announced this, my brain was just like, okay, so this doesn't really matter.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. This is a filler arc. This is a total filler arc.
This seems just like a setup of whatever they're doing next. Not something that meaningfully builds off of Endwalker, which we do disagree on that, but I do quite like Endwalker. And that did hit in a lot of ways that I really do like that a lot. And it is very funny that before this even came out, us who thought completely different things on Endwalker, we're still like, oh,
No, yeah. I love a time of political unrest being framed as a vacation, and I'm going to leave it at that. And those are all the games I have been playing over the course of the week and a few days. You guys watch anything interesting?
Oh, no, I didn't do my homework.
Oh, fuck. Don't worry. Let's just start fresh. Let's just start fresh. I think all of us have been kind of busy with like personal stuff, and I think that's fine. Like, I have to go to Anime Expo this weekend. Pray for me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Anime Expo is gonna be fucking packed.
I'm gonna be in the press area most of the time, so thank God for that. But it was hot today. I thought I was going to die. So if I don't show up for next week's podcast, Jake will be taking my place because I will be dead.
I always like how we say next week on our bi-weekly podcast.
I don't know time, you know?
What are you supposed to say?
No, exactly. It's like,
yeah,
it just feels better.
Yeah.
What are we gonna say?
Yeah.
A fortnight from now.
Yeah.
Actually, that would go kind of hard.
Verily.
An entire podcast episode where we just speak in ye old English.
Oh, I'd lose the plot on that so fast.
But yeah, have you guys watched anything interesting? I've just watched House of the Dragon, and I can't really talk about it because I don't want to spoil GC on anything.
I continued watching with my girlfriend Delicious in Dungeon, and I don't have too much to say because most of what we've watched recently is in that like end game, but that sure might be one of the best fantasy series of all fucking time.
It's great. Are you reading it too?
I'm going to as soon as we are done with the last episode of the current season, because I'm not waiting 3 years to finish that. I want to know. And I have heard that it sticks the landing, and it's just, it's all just so good. I have like, it truly feels like the breath of fresh air we fucking need in the industry right now. I'm just so like into it. It's just good. Food is very good. The characters are so lovely. They have such a fun, endearing, like, it's beautiful. It is a beautiful show. You should definitely finish it, GC.
Yeah, I gotta finish it. I watched a little bit with my friends, but I ended up falling off after like episode 6 or 7.
It only gets better. It's wild.
Yeah. That's what I hear.
It's like you start and you're just like, oh, the setup for this show is pretty dark, but it's such a fucking cute little silly little thing, and they're, that's D&D, but they eat the monsters. Whoa. And then you keep going and you're like, oh, I'm crying. I'm laughing and I'm crying nonstop in the same episode. But no, it's going to be an all-time classic at this rate. All they have to do is just not lose Trigger, and vice versa, honestly, because this is probably my favorite thing Trigger has ever done. I think a lot of their internal writing staff are kind of bad. I think Kill la Kill is bad.
Yeah.
I think half of Gurren is bad.
Yes. Oh God, you're speaking to me. I'm like being revitalized by this truth. Oh, thank you, Cullen.
I will say though, when I saw those Gurren movies in theaters earlier in the year, I watched that first one. I was like, that was okay. And then I watched the second half, and like with the show, I'm like, oh, the second half is one of the best things ever. I still think Kill la Kill is fucking garbage. I don't even know what else they do. I'm sure they have a couple good things. I've heard that Cyberpunk is pretty good, but I just don't like a lot of what Trigger does. But it's great when they're adapting something like this. This feels like the perfect use of their incredibly talented staff is just for such a wholesome and just well-meaning show. And I was like looking up information on the writer, who is a really big CRPG fan, which is so endearing. And I basically took that image she drew of all these CRPG characters. I think it was all elves. And I was like, add this to my cart, add this to my cart, add that to my cart. So that is how I ended up with Pathfinder Kingmaker, I think is that what it's called?
Yeah, Pathfinder. She also did custom portraits for Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
Can you like download those?
Yes, you can.
Really?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Perhaps I will look into that. Perhaps I will re-download Baldur's Gate 1.
Just play it on story mode, you know?
Oh, for sure. But yeah, that's it for me. We want to assign each other homework?
Yeah, I want to assign GC something fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's do our little Fate Grand Order class wheel.
I like how you say we in that instance as if either of us know. That's definitely a you. Why don't you do it?
Yeah. So basically every week we assign each other homework, right?
And sometimes we actually do them.
Yeah, well, not recently because we've been stinky little farts, but that's
Kazuma's
okay.
a bad influence.
I am. Ask anybody I went to high school with. In fact, one of them does listen to this podcast, which is really scary.
No.
Yeah. Basically, we encapsulate various different servants from Fate Grand Order. For example, GC is an archer, Cullen is a saber, and I'm a lancer.
I would be a
And
saber.
if you know, you know. Yeah, you? Yeah, you would be a saber. And each of those characters has a strength and weakness against each other. So this week, as a Lancer, I will be hitting GC's vital point and assigning him homework. GC will be assigning Cullen homework, and Cullen will be assigning me homework. So, GC, I want you to play Lord of the Rings: The Third Age.
Joy!
Yes! It's a Final Fantasy X clone that is set in the Lord of the Rings universe that goes alongside the story of the books.
Oh, I'm gonna download it right now.
It's good. It's really good. It's completely voice acted. You train skills in the way that you do in Final Fantasy IX, actually.
Ooh.
I think you've seen me play it. So you have like RPG stats that you need to like level up, like your mind and your strength and everything. And then you also pick like branching paths for your attacks. So spend a lot of time with it. It's very grind heavy, but it's a lot of fun. I hope you get to the big moment in Moria.
I might actually dedicate some time to this, considering that I'm done with like so many games that I was working on. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, yeah.
Cullen? Cullen?
Yeah.
Cullen?
Yes.
I'm going to give you something really different.
Okay.
I've been playing this game on and off for a little bit. It kind of spoke to me. I don't want to say too much because I want to get your opinion on it before we talk about it. Play Dave the Diver.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I want you to play Dave the Diver.
We do have that in our Steam family thing. Thanks, Kazuma.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
I think our buddy VZ Shows made a... Oh, God. I'm going to be a terrible friend if I get this right or wrong. Hold on. GC, be willing to edit this out of the podcast. VZ Shows Dave.
No, he did not ask me to edit it out. He asked me to be willing to edit it out.
No, I was just making sure he actually did a video on this, which I don't think he did. I think I'm a bad friend.
But he talked about it.
Did he talk about it in a video?
Well, no, I remember him talking about it on Twitter and stuff like that and mentioning it to us.
Okay. So our friend VZ Shows.
He made a video on Dredge.
Oh, that's the one. Our friend VZ Shows has talked to us about Dave the Diver. And all I know about this game, outside of the fact that you dive and you make sushi, is that it's that fake indie game that made a bunch of people mad. I will play Dave the Diver.
Yeah, good.
Enjoy.
Kazuma.
Yeah?
As soon as I heard you jump at the chance of assigning GC something, I cracked my knuckles and went to our favorite little, I guess, site of games. I immediately started scrolling through and I said,
Yeah?
Kazuma, I want you to play
Yes?
Bionicle Heroes for the PS2.
Okay, I'll play your Bionicle game.
And like with previous recommendations, no, I have never played this before in my life. Have fun.
Thank you.
Yep.
See, this is how I know we're gonna do our homework, because we're back on our bullshit.
Yeah.
Where you're like assigning me random like shovelware games, and I'm like, GC, play this thing that's fun.
It's like, it's wild because when I'm told to watch a movie, I'm like, I can't do that, man. I can't get the time to just sit there and do nothing for an hour. And then this is like, yeah, I'll play 5 hours of Dave the Diver. That'll be easy.
Why not?
It feels like less of a commitment, at least
Yeah.
in my opinion. So I know what I'm assigning you next week, Cullen.
Oh, I
But
can't
we'll all
wait.
have to play it together.
Cool.
So
All right. Well, Saber is now going to the questions.
oh shit, okay. All right, Saber.
All
let's
right.
let's roll in those questions.
Got it. All right. So we got three. Well, I guess we have 4. Sonia sent us 2.
Wow. Thank you, Sonia.
Shout out to Sonia. Sonia, you're just trying to win all the brownie points, huh? I know what you're doing. I know what you're up to. It's working. You do have a lot of them.
Yes.
All right. Bonjour, burnt out Bohemians. Hearing y'all discuss the Vita at the tail end of the last episode made me nostalgic for the handheld console that carried me throughout my teenage years. Big fucking mood, by the way. It was the console that originally introduced me to various game series that became very important to me, like Atelier and Trails. Alongside countless others I have very fond experiences with and memories of games such as God Eater and Freedom Wars. I'm sure many people around my age and older had similar experiences with it. Now that it is mostly well past its time, I'd like to request that y'all speak on some of your thoughts and experiences with it, in hopes of giving the little machine a proper eulogy. Best regards, Sonia. P.S. GC, I wasn't familiar with your content and decided to check it out and first watch your video about replay value. Great video, by the way. My guy, you cannot just drop a sentence like my dog Max farted on my only copy of Twilight Princess, which rendered it unreadable by Nintendo Wii console. Leave it at that. Can you please expand on the story? Which, GC, did you even own a Vita?
I did.
Oh, fuck. All right, I was going to give you this if you didn't have a Vita story. Kazuma, did you have a Vita?
No.
All right. Well, Kazuma, you get to explain why Max farted on Twilight Princess, and GC and I get to talk about the Vita.
All right. Well, unfortunately, Max ate something that upset his tummy, and he blamed GC for it, and in his rage, as most animals do, found his valuable copy of Twilight Princess and farted on it. In
Corrosive
revenge.
farts.
Yes.
I swear to God, that's what happened.
All right. Well, hey.
So what was the, sorry, I admitted I spaced out a little bit. What is like the gist of the question?
Share a Vita memory.
Talk about the Vita.
Oh man.
Your experiences with it. I'm going to let you go first because I am definitely the Vita guy of the podcast.
No, I love the Vita. I'm a big fan of the Vita. I have many Vita memories actually. I remember playing Freedom Wars on the Vita, which I think is a game that should be released elsewhere. I don't know why Freedom Wars hasn't gotten like a PC release yet. But Freedom Wars is really fun. I played Tokiden for the first time on a Vita.
Yeah.
And Tokiden is one of my favorite monster hunting games, period. I like Tokiden 2 a lot.
Sometimes.
Tokiden 2 is real good. Tokiden 2 is so good. Tokiden 2 did open world Monster Hunter before Monster Hunter did open world Monster Hunter. And it also did the grappling hook before they did the grappling hook mechanics in Monster Hunter. And really, a lot of the stuff that more modern Monster Hunter does is based off of the shit that they did in Tokiden. Just saying.
Oh, you're
putting
right.
that out there.
100%.
So if you like those things in Monster Hunter, go play Tokiden. That's like the originator of that. Anyway, a memory I have with my Vita is crying in bed as I play the ending to Persona 4 Golden.
Oh,
because
God.
I'm a big baby. And I'm like, he's not going to hang out with his friends no more. And it made me really sad.
And hearing that fucking end theme, and you're just like,
yeah.
Okay.
And then, I still have my Vita. Sometimes I turn it on and I play with it. I used to tweet a lot from my Vita, actually.
Twitter on Vita actually goes crazy.
Yeah, I used to use that a lot because I used to take my Vita to work because I used to work the graveyard shift at an IHOP, so nothing was happening. It was like a shift from it was like 11 to 6 a.m. or whatever, and I would just play Vita.
I'm looking at my room right now, and literally as like I put my phone down after reading the question, I saw on the floor next to me is my Persona 4 Golden Vita. This thing is just always like looming around.
The Vita was a great console. I'm so sorry about it. Like it's sad.
We failed you, Vita.
Yeah, like it had some cool stuff on it. It ran some stuff well. Sometimes it ran like shit. It had some cool apps. I thought it was wild. I always wanted to do this. I always wanted the mobile plan for the Vita.
Oh,
you remember
3G.
that?
Yeah. It's so weird that they did a 3G Vita and then they realized no one wanted it and then ditched it. But GC, did you have any closing thoughts on the Vita? Oh, cry baby boy.
My Vita has a little scratch on the screen and it bothers me, and it's bothered me since I've owned it for years now. So I really hope one day I can buy another Vita with a nicer screen.
I swear, I have like 3 of them. Maybe I can just like send you one.
That'd be sweet.
Or no, maybe I only have 2. I bought so many Vitas in my life, dude. I was the Vita's biggest soldier. The Vita was my like gateway drug to JRPGs.
Oh.
because I'm pretty sure I got it around 2012, I want to say, whenever Persona 4 Golden came out, because the summer before I played Persona 4 on like PCSX2, and that was like my big awakening game, like the change my life experience is me sitting in my my house for a whole summer, a month straight, just playing Persona 4, like get up, play P4, go to bed. Like I just did that nonstop. And then I was like, wait, they're re-releasing it on that Vita thing? I gotta get a Vita. I gotta get it to play Persona 4 again. And that was only the start. I bought so many Vita games. I like, if you were to value my account and specifically the games on Vita, it would be a ridiculous amount. It would, like, you would look at it and go, that's unhealthy, man. Back when I worked like retail, a lot of my money would just go into like what like weird niche Japanese, like localized Japanese low budget game could I get this week? There was like a lot of stuff like Ray Gigant, a lot of dungeon crawlers on there. It was where I fell in love with visual novels. It just kind of like, it had, a lot of people said it didn't really have a library, and really it had a library. You just needed to not be boring. Like as soon as a lot of the first party support dropped off for that thing, we got a lot of really cool, weird games on it.
Okay.
The Atelier series, that's also where I fell in love with those. Like Eska and Logi is one of my favorite games of all fucking time. It definitely did deserve better, but anyone who actually played and really got into their Vita, like, could sit there and talk your ear off for hours. Its backwards compatibility support also made it a great place to catch up on like a lot of old PS1 RPGs. Like that's where I played Final Fantasy for like the first time. Like that's where I played FF7, was on my Vita. That's where I played Final Fantasy Tactics. That's where I played so many like PSP classics, was on that thing. It's even better if you hack it and fucking just dump a bunch of PSP ISOs on there. It's just, that little device could do so much. And I remember just like browsing the library for hours and just finding all these like really neat looking games that you just couldn't get anywhere else. Like nowadays, the Switch is just, it has that same kind of library, but the only difference is a lot more people have the Switch. And also like nowadays, those kinds of games that were on the Vita are just a lot more popular. So I really feel like the Vita was like ahead of its time. Like if the Vita had come out today and had that kind of library, a lot more people would be interested in those kind of games. But, you know, the Switch is kind of dominating its own market, and Sony doesn't even want to try to compete. They just kind of let that thing die, and it's really sad.
I think the Vita was like, I was just saying that the Vita is like way ahead of its time, and had they followed up with another one, I think that would have succeeded alongside the Switch, because they were very close to having that same concept between the Vita and the Vita TV.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the Vita TV. I
own
bought one of those.
Yeah.
I bought it for Persona 4 Golden. Now I don't really need that anymore, but it's funny how back in the day where it's like, I want to play Persona 4 Golden on a TV, you had to like jump through all these hoops, and now you just buy it anywhere. But Vita's an all-timer. I don't use mine as much anymore because I have like my Switch and my Steam Deck, but there's something about the form factor and like just how slim it is. Like me in particular, a lot of people prefer the original Vita. I'm a huge slim guy. I think this, like the change in screen, it still looks good, and just how better it feels in the hands is just so much better. Love the Vita. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was also the home of a lot of like really bad Koei Tecmo Dynasty Warriors ports.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You ever try to play Berserk on the Vita? That's an experience. It's not a good experience, but it is 100% a unique experience. Games on the Vita, sometimes you get games that ran at like 15 FPS and you were thankful. But that is our Vita discussion, Sonia. I'm going to jump into your other question before we move on to the rest of emails. This was on Twitter. Since Pride Month is over, Kazuma, What is the most straight-coded thing you've ever done? And Cullen, what's the most gay-coded thing you've ever done? Example, if Cullen listened to and really enjoyed Ed Sheeran, or Cullen Meetsky.
Cullen Meetsky? Do you like Meetsky?
I don't know what Meetsky is.
Amazing artist.
Okay.
Fantastic musician. Her music is great. Very sad, though. She did a fantastic song with Ryan Hemsworth in 2016. That just sad. Very sad. I like it because I like sad shit.
But also the last bit is, GC, I don't know your orientation, but follow in suit. GC,
I am an enigma.
For you, is it the butt naked at McDonald's story?
Excuse me, what?
Why you gotta bring this up now? Why you gotta bring this story up now?
I specifically ask that you not elaborate on that at all, and we just leave that.
Okay.
Okay, anyways, God, what's this straight?
It's hard to think now that you heard butt naked at McDonald's, isn't it?
I'm just thinking about GC butt naked at McDonald's, like, what happened there?
I mean,
what's the story behind that? Yeah, go for it.
If you need something like gay coded, like it's so weird to think of like things as like actions as coded in exact ways. Because I'm not really one to be like very like I'm very comfortable with who I am and how I express myself. I have several videos on YouTube talking about me wanting to fuck anime boys. So it's like I don't know. I'd suck Adol Kristen's cock. Yeah. I mean, maybe if you want to say like reality TV shows or like Sex in the City.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is like, it's very funny how like I'm in a group watch of both like of MILF
The
Manor.
Vampire Diaries and fucking.
Oh yeah, like but like Vampire Diaries and MILF Manor and Sex in the City, and it's really funny. I have a couple trans girls in my friend circle, and there's like they're just like, you're the cis guy of our group. What is going on? And I'm just like, I just like it. I just like Sex in the City. I don't know.
It's a good show.
It's a good show.
It is. The straightest. Oh, liking post-hardcore music. There we go.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
GC, you got anything, or are you Mr.
To Under Oath?
Which one am I supposed to?
No, GC already. It's the McDonald's.
Oh
naked,
yeah. You
yeah.
definitely
Anyways,
got.
yeah.
That's the most coded thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got butt naked at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Pebbles asks, "Hello, Burnout Bros. My name is Pebbles. I have a question for all of you, since you all seem to be big JRPG heads. When you play a JRPG, if the option of an EN dub is available, do you prefer to play it in JP or EN dub? What would be your reasoning behind the decision? Examples, Final Fantasy, Xenoblade, Octopath, Fire Emblem. This question could also extend to experiencing any media that is not originally in English. For me personally, I prefer to experience media in their original languages with EN subtitles and text, because it feels the most authentic experience to me. Plus, I enjoy learning about interesting words, phrases, idioms used in other languages. Thank you for your time. I hope your recording session will be a good one." Yeah, it's butt naked at the recording session.
Yeah, I would love to lead this question because
go for it.
I actually had this combo with somebody recently where a friend of mine has never played Final Fantasy XII before, and she's about to start. And despite that game, being written in Japanese, it's a game that I always recommend people play in English because it features regionally distinct dialects that tell you things about the character, right? My favorite character has a unique accent because of his upbringing. So you get the idea he is an outsider based on how his accent is not high class in comparison to everyone he interacts with, right? There are some games where I'm definitely like, just play it in English. Whoever was in charge of that localization and that voice direction really fucking did it, and just play it in English. I think it really depends on the game. For example, I didn't like the English voice acting in Dawn Trail so much that I switched it to Japanese. Wow. Because I wanted to hear anything else than the English voice acting because the accents were inconsistent and the voice direction, in my opinion, was pretty poor. I would say experiencing it in the native language, when you talk about authenticity and an authentic experience, a good localization still has that level of authenticity to it. It's just in a different language, right? Like I think the Yakuza series early on, not like Yakuza 1 and 2, you know, like his ass is grass or whatever. Yeah, exactly. But like, you know, Zero and the games that released around that era have really great English like translations and localizations, in which they retain the essence of specific, like, you know, like cultural attitudes or phrases, and, you know, translate that really well into English. I think it just really depends on the game, because you can also have games where if you are familiar with the language and you play it in English or in a different language, you can pick up on like, oh, that's kind of weird. But I would say do both and see how you like it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bit of a wishy-washy kind of answer. But I would 100% agree with you. Like if it's any dub where there is a choice to have people like split into different dialects, then I am 100% like I go with English because of that exact thing. It's why I love maybe to a lesser extent, but like the Xenoblade games, especially as they go on, they get actors from different parts of Europe, and it conveys different things about the entire cast in like small, subtle little ways. And it's just like, truthfully, I go with whatever I think sounds best. I lean towards dubs for a lot of things, especially anime, which sounds a bit weird because there are definitely shows where I'm like, I don't want to be like strained, like locked the fuck in, staring at subtitles. Like I want to put something on and just like chill. Is why I'm watching Delicious in Dungeon dubbed, is because that is a show where you want to relax and enjoy yourself, and I don't want to be like staring at the bottom of the screen the entire time.
I'm the same way actually. Like one of my favorite anime, Sengoku Basara, I like it in English over Japanese because of the different accents and the way they represent those characters.
I've the older I get, the more I kind of lean towards just defaulting to English. There are definitely cases where I will like just automatically go like Japanese. Like I brought it up earlier, but Atelier, like Eska and Logi, for example, that was in that era where localization budgets were small. So they got around a lot of that by just not dubbing the whole game. So you'll play like Eska and Logi and you can like watch a scene in Japanese and English and just go, oh, they just didn't dub this one. There's no voice acting. And that scene is voiced in Japanese. So for something like that, I'll go, well, I want to hear Logi speak at every possible moment because he's another one of my little like gay anime boy crushes. So, you know, Japanese, I guess. But yeah, I'll go English a lot of the times. I have no issue playing games with Japanese. There are times where I'll just like decide to just be like, oh, you know what? Let me play this in Japanese. I'll probably just have like a better time of it. Like, there's a Tales game I was trying to get into. I think it was Symphonia, where I really wanted to give the dub a shot because everyone was saying like the dub is so good, but it just was so awkward. And as soon as I switched to Japanese, I just started vibing way more. Same with Tales of Vesperia. Have you ever played that, Kazuma?
No, I've only played Symphonia, Dawn of a New Age, and Arise, and Christoria. Rip Christoria.
I really liked, like, one of the reasons I got in that game to begin with is that I was like coming off of my high from Persona 4 and like, oh my God, Troy Baker voices the protagonist. That's really cool. Let me like do this. And it's like a lot of the cast, besides like, I do think that's one of Troy Baker's better roles as Yuri. A lot of his like a lot of the other cast in that game just kind of okay. And then you have another problem where I don't know if either of you know about this, but in the definitive edition of Vesperia, because they first released that on PS3 Japan exclusive for the longest time, where they like voiced the entire script pretty much in Japanese, and they added like new content, new voice acting. It was like very like they added so much of it. When it came out to finally get that in English, for some fucking reason, They did not get all of the voice actors back. And most crucially, they did not get Troy Baker back as the protagonist. So it is a fucking coin flip on if your main character will speak with one voice or another depending on the scene. He just changes English voice actors. And it is very obvious when there's a new scene or a scene that was not voiced before, because the character you're playing as will just speak differently. And it doesn't make any sense to me, because it's like, I would have rather had you just redub all of his lines with this new guy, or just get Troy Baker back. I don't know why you did it like this. And for things like that, I go, all right, well, I want to play this in English. I'll just play it in Japanese instead. But yeah, overall, if it is a game mostly like dubbed by like a European studio, I'll be very inclined to give that a listen. Like Dragon Quest XI is a great one. Or if it's a situation where like the Final Fantasy series nowadays, you can kind of tell they put a lot of effort on their Western markets. So like, I'm pretty sure like something like 16 was made for like the English voice acting first, and then more like dubbed in Japanese, if I remember correctly. Does that sound right, Kazuma?
I believe so.
Okay, well, I'll just say it and pretend it's true.
Okay.
But yeah, so unfortunately it depends, but I have preferences.
I really think I'm there with y'all. Like it really just depends. I'm a little weirder about it. As opposed to like defaulting to dubs, I actually default to subs, mostly because like I'm more accustomed to doing that at this point, like out of habit, where if I'm playing a game that has a Japanese dub and it's a Japanese game, I'd rather listen to it in Japanese. Don't know why. I think it's what the person that wrote the question, Pebbles, right? Mm-hmm. What Pebbles was saying of wanting to hear sort of like the idioms or like the specific things in the other language, or what the original, quote unquote, original like intent was, or what have you. But honestly, like as I say that, it's like I play Xenoblade in English, I play Dragon Quest in English, I play Final Fantasy in English.
But like something like Yakuza, you'll want to play in Japanese.
Something like Yakuza or Like a Dragon, like, yeah, I'll play it in Japanese because I'm like, for me, it's jarring. Like for me, that's a matter of setting, right? Where it's like, this is taking place with like actual, like it's not fantasy world RPG land where they could be from anywhere, right? Like a Dragon is a game about Japanese people speaking Japanese in place, like in Japan. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm going to listen to that in Japanese because I feel like that fits best. I have like a personal gripe with a lot of dubs in general. Not because they're bad or because the actors are terrible or because localization is evil or whatever. I literally just, I've listened to so many dubs in my life that like sometimes I hear voice actors or voice direction like sort of get their voice actors to do what I call a dub voice. Mm-hmm. And they talk in a very specific like
they're nasally. I know what you mean.
Yeah. It's got like this intonation that really grates on me. And like obviously there's dubs where they don't do that. And I love those dubs and I listen to those dubs and I watch shows like that. Like I watch Delicious in Dungeon in English. Like I used to watch One Piece in English for the longest time when I was younger. Like that stuff doesn't bother me. But like every now and then I hear like what I call the anime voice, and I'm like, like it pulls me out. So like I'd rather in my experience, I would rather listen to a language that I don't understand, that I can't pick up on those like cues, like I can't pick up on like that quality of acting. I'd rather listen to that and read subtitles.
Now, not to be like, actually, just as genuinely curious question, for like Atlas games, like the ones that take place in like Japan specifically, do you typically go dub or sub?
See, that's the weird thing, right? And that's why it really depends. I go dub, but that's because there was no sub for early Atlas games. So I'm accustomed to listening to the dubs for the Persona series. So I listen to the dubs for the Persona series, and they're typically very good, and they're not. I mean, the guy that performs like Ryuji in Persona 5 is like incredible in that game. Yeah,
one of the best.
Like one of the best performances that I've ever listened to, and stuff like that. That's why it depends, because and why I say it's largely out of habit, because it's either one habit or the other. If I don't know anything about the series, if I haven't experienced the series in English to begin with, I usually default to Japanese. But that's just
GC, you really needed to finish playing Strikers so you can hear him say fuck.
I know. I gotta every time I pick up Strikers, I restart my game. I gotta stop doing that.
Yeah, especially because the beginning of that game is very slow.
It is. It's super slow. Very much in line with Persona.
It's not the best. I like that game a lot. That intro is very hard to replay.
Mm-hmm. Good question.
Very good question.
Very good question.
And I guess, lastly, but not leastly, Sam sends, I'm on the plane to AX right now, so I have to ask, what has been your best/worst travel experience? Follow up, best/worst con experience. It's kind of funny because I feel like we touched on this a little bit. Ironically, at least for me, one of my best and my worst were both times I've been to New York. Because the first time I went,
oh shit,
it was bad only because I was by myself. And so I was wandering around this big city, like completely alone. Like the press event I went to was great, not to get it twisted, but like the act of wandering around this city depressed me so much. I was a miserable mess of a person. I was just like, I was really sad. I was messaging my friends back home. I was like, I don't want to be here. This sucks. Oh, I hate New York. And then this last time I went, I met up with a friend of mine who moved there, and he literally gave me a tour, and I had a fantastic time. And I need to go back to New York like right away. But in regard to cons, I'd say my best is MagFest, and worst isn't fair because there's a lot of local cons that are just kind of meh.
I don't think I've had a bad traveling experience because my flights don't get delayed.
Humble flex.
Speaking of flights getting delayed.
Hi, on my way back from Vegas, this is actually not the worst experience, but it's up there. On my way back from Vegas, I had a layover in Dallas that was supposed to last 30 minutes, ended up lasting 12 hours. They put us on the plane. The plane's AC wasn't working. The pilot refused to fly with the AC off because of how hot it is outside. So we got let off back into the terminal. We waited those 12 hours, got back on a plane at 8 o'clock at night. The plane's AC wasn't working. We were at the gate for an hour when they fixed the problem. Then they pulled us up to they made the line to take off. There was a holdup on the takeoff line, so we were there for another 30 minutes. We had turbulence on the flight. We landed too early. They weren't ready for us, so we were stuck on the plane for like another 30 minutes. And I got home at 2 a.m. when I should have gotten home at 6 p.m.
Oof.
And that is not my worst flying experience. My worst flying experience is much shorter of a story. On my way back from Spain last year, there was a group of people who kept getting up to talk to each other across the plane.
Ugh.
And they were literally crouching in the aisle next to me. And the guy farted in my face. And that was my worst flying experience. And as for like bad con experiences, my best experience at a con was at MagFest, and my worst experience at a con was at Too Many Games.
What's Too Many Games?
They just finished having it. It's a convention in Philadelphia, if I remember right.
It is.
It's owned by Screenwave, and it's like it's literally a video game convention where they sell too many games. And there was actually news related to that this year.
Oh yeah, Yeah, they sold child porn.
Yeah.
Cue Kazuma
somebody was trying.
What?
Somebody was trying to sell the Guy game at Too Many Games this year. The Guy game, that old game that had girls take their tops off if you got questions right to trivia, and one of them ended up being underage when they filmed it. So they banned that game from being sold everywhere. But somebody was trying to sell it at Too Many Games.
$250.
For $250.
And I'll give it to Too Many Games.
Was my worst con experience.
They were very quick on being on shutting that down.
Yes. Also, my experience with Too Many Games was not related to the convention itself. I was having a bad time for other reasons.
But yeah, thanks a bunch, Sam. And that is it for questions from us. If you want to ask us anything and have it possibly be read on the show, just send us an email at burnoutculturepodcast@gmail.com.
Or shoot us a cheeky little tweet at Burnout Cult. Right? It's Burnout Cult, right? Right?
I don't know. What, do you think I run the podcast Twitter or something?
Ah, shit. Anyways,
yeah, it's Burnout
Cult. Thank you. Okay, yeah. You can find us on YouTube as well at Burnout Culture Podcast and on Spotify at Burnout Culture Podcast. Oh my God.
What the fuck?
Someone's letting off fireworks in my neighborhood already.
Is the airplane farter back? Is he at your door?
Yeah. Yeah, he's at my window right now. Thank you everyone for listening this week. You can find me at Kazuma on Blue Sky or at Kagenaga on Twitch.
You can find me at GC_Vasquez at Twitter or GC Vasquez on Blue Sky.
You can find me at Cullen on YouTube. Hopefully next time we do this podcast, I will have a new video out. And if I fall to peer pressure, you might find me in Dawn Trail.
Yes. Yes. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time in 2 weeks, not 1 week.
See you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.